Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you here today, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else who you think might find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. This past week, the Blue Moon Diner changed hands. Jamie Floyd, the owner for the past 22 years, sold the diner. The new owners are going to continue its operations and keep it going there, but we want to take a moment to thank Jamie for all of the work that she's done in the city of Gardner over the course of the past 22 years, including helping out with the Christmas food programs that we've done, several different sponsorships for several different community events throughout the past 22 years, and just being a smiling face for people who were looking to sit down, have a bite to eat, and just talk with someone who had a friendly face. So thank you very much to Jamie for your years of service, and best of luck on your next endeavors. And we're certainly going to miss you here in downtown Gardner. This past week, the City Council voted to approve and fully confirm the appointments of Chief Eric McAveen and Sergeant Lauren Walter of the Gardner Police Department. Sergeant Walter is returning to us after he took a brief break from the Gardner Police Department and is now back. So it's always great to see people coming back to Gardner and us filling those positions that we have there. And Chief McAveen was fully sworn in as chief of the department for the next 3 years. We had a very full house at that City Council meeting, so I want to say thank you very much to all of the visiting police officers from other departments, the several retired police officers who came to that, and the many members of the Gardner Police Department who joined us for that event there too. And we will be having a appointment announcement for the new deputy chief, I expect within the next 2 to 2.5 weeks, as well as the application period for that position closes next Friday. So thank you very much to those two individuals for stepping up to the job and for serving our community and our residents here in the city of Gardner. We want to remind people that there are a couple of events next week. One in particular, the Montechusett Veterans Outreach Center is having their annual speaker series, and that'll take place on September 15th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. in Monument Park. Sure to be a good time for all, so please make sure you're checking the Montechusett Veterans Outreach Centers, or MVOC as it's more commonly referred to here in the city of Gardner. Checking their social media and their website for information on that event. And it'll certainly be a fun time for many people, and just an interesting talk based on the information that MVOC has put out. And thank you very much to their executive director, Dr. Stephanie Marchetti, for putting that event on and really sponsoring that as a continued event that we can rely on every fall here in Gardner. This past week, the Alicia's Place Peer Recovery Center and the AED Foundation did a memorial tree planting over on the corner of Parker Street and Graham Street, and planted a willow tree in memory of all those who have lost their fight to addiction and substance use here in the city of Gardner. So that memorial tree is in Howe Park at the intersection there that's across the street from Mackey Park. So if you drive by and you notice that tree there, that is a city memorial tree for all of those, because this is something, like we said last week at the Overdose Memorial Vigil, that has affected several people in our community, and most of the people in the city. If you haven't gone through issues with substance abuse, you know someone who has, or a family that has been affected by those who have gone through the disease of addiction and substance abuse. So thank you very much for the AED Foundation and Alicia's Place for adding this as an extra way to remember those who we've lost here in the city of Gardner, our neighbors, our family, and our friends. We have a new business downtown. Balance Staffing is opening their doors next week in Gardner. They are a staffing service that'll take place, and they'll be located at 40 Main Street. That's right by where the old game nights used to be before they closed their doors around the time of the pandemic. So thank you very much to Lori, their owner, for locating here in Gardner. They used to be in the old Simplex building on School Street. They then moved to Orange and are now coming back to Gardner after hearing the great things that are going on in downtown Gardner and wanting to be a part in the revitalization efforts that we have here. It's always great to see the number of new businesses that we've had open in downtown in the past couple months, since January, let alone over the past 2 years. Really exciting to see that trend continue. We also do want to mention that this past week, the Gardner Chamber of Commerce did cancel the ribbon cutting that was going to take place for Verizon at the Timpani Crossroads location. There's just some final construction stuff that has to be done before we can have people in that section of the building. So that ribbon cutting is postponed, and we'll let you know when that happens again as we get closer to that date. However, Edward Jones ribbon cutting is still scheduled to happen on the 21st of September at 5 p.m. at that location. And again, when Verizon does reschedule their ribbon cutting, we'll be sure to let you know about that as well. At the City Council meeting this past week, the City Council voted to approve the disposition and sale of both Prospect Street School and School Street School. Prospect Street School is on sale for a minimum price of $100,000, and School Street School has a minimum price of $1. Now, I want to make clear that there are still stipulations that cities and towns are required to follow by Massachusetts general law in terms of any of these sales that we do of any property that the city sells, and that's through a process known as a request for proposals. What that means is that when we sell these properties, it has to go out and certain advertising requirements have to be met, but then the packets that have to be submitted aren't just minimum price packets. It's also a written document stating what must be, what is planned to be done for the property, what the property's intended use is, how you plan to accomplish that intended use. And basically what happens is the city has to score and award those properties based on the highest and best use of that property, and then has to go back and review the price proposals that are put in there too. So that's how much you're willing to pay for the property. So the properties are ranked both on the highest and best use, and then on the price proposals that are submitted for the purchase of the property. And then once those are all open, you weigh those out, but the highest and best use does carry more weight than the price in this process to make sure that we are truly being able to get the most out of the property that we can, and we're really protecting our fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers to make sure that we're getting these properties back on the tax rolls in the most effective and efficient way as possible. So if you have any questions on that process, you can contact our purchasing department and speak to Meredith or Josh, but you can also talk to my office as well at any time, because the purchasing office may oversee that process and how that process is done. But if you have any questions until that process is really finalized and those advertisements and solicitations for proposals are put out, you can talk to my office and we'll help get that information out there. But if you're interested in seeing the appraisal reports, any of the documentation that the council viewed, all of those are available on the city's website if you click the agendas and minute radio button on the homepage of the city's website, www.gardner-ma.gov. And I do want to give a special shout out to Josh and Meredith as well. They do a lot of good in their job, but this year in particular, we've been getting rid of a lot of properties that the city hasn't used and kind of just been sitting on for quite some time. And I think we've sold a lot more land than we have in the past 5 years, just in this year alone. So I do want to thank them for the extra work that we've given them there, but it's all part of our jobs here to make sure we're doing our part on your behalf here in Gardner City Hall. With that said, that's it for this week's update. As always, if you have any questions on anything that was said and all, you can contact my office at any time, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week. Thank you very much, and have a good day.